Yes, recording now. So there is no buzz or anything in the sound. Sound is clear? Okay. Yeah, that's because I became very clever, and just before the class I gave the laptop a small little tap, and now it is working very well. It seems to need that. Yes, just like all of us from time to time need a wake-up call, this also needs that. So, samatvam yoga uchyate. This is what we have been seeing. And so the samatvam is not in the kind of action that I'm doing. Samatvam means equanimity. It is in the way the result of the action is received. That I'm not too much disturbed. I'm not, out of my elements if the last two scenarios come into the picture. What are the last two scenarios? I cross the road and miss the bus, and then I cross the road and have a, encounter with a pothole, and then end up spraining the foot or breaking the ankle and going into the hospital. So the trick is to be able to receive these four kinds of outcomes, of my action, especially the expectations, So the four kinds of outcomes vis-a-vis my expectations for the action, I'm able to receive with more or less what is called equanimity. So it's a big word. And in fact, it's not a correct, translation of what's going on in Sanskrit. In Sanskrit, the attitude is not so much called samatvam, and another, it's more well known as prasada buddhi. Samatvam, equanimity means what? The person is just sitting quietly and has a stoic appearance, Stoic means no matter what happens, I am the same, and you tell such a person, hey, you just, you got a promotion. Okay. How come you're not happy? Well, I'm a karma yogi, samatvam yoga uchyate. And then you tell the person, you got your health is very good. Your last checkup with all the blood work and everything, your annual checkup came out outstandingly. So the doctor says to this person, you have the heart of a 20-year-old. Okay. And then what? Next thing. Your wife is in the hospital. Okay. That is not what we are talking about. It's not some kind of a stoicism. It's not some kind of a, being bereft of any kind of an emotional response to the situation or to the result of action. That's not what is samatvam. Samatvam is better defined as prasada buddhi. And prasada has no definition in English. You can at the most say prasada, that's all, but it has no translation. Certain words are beyond translation. The word prasad has no translation. We just can attempt to explain it. Some attempts of translation include glad acceptance of the results of action is called prasada buddhi. It's a working definition, but really there's a lot more going on when we use the word prasada, which anybody growing up in the tradition, automatically knows what it is. One goes with the mother and the father to the temple, and then you do the rounds, you stand in front of the deity, you pray, you do namaskar, and then something is given in the hand. One day it's a laddu, another day it's a tulsi leaf, third day it's just water, tirtha. Fourth day it's a full meal because somebody has sponsored a yajna, and everybody sits down to eat and you are also invited to join. So you never know what you're going to get. That's the idea. And whatever comes, we take it as prasada because it has come from Bhagavan. It has come from Bhagavan and Bhagavan has given. So there is no argument. There is no saying, oh, why only one laddu? It should have been bigger. Why this? Was it made today or yesterday? Where did it come from? Who brought it? Because I don't know whether I should eat it or not. All these things you don't question. There is no question when it comes from Bhagavan because the infallible being Bhagavan, then, there is no, so whatever comes is also an extension, a manifestation of the infallible. We have seen this. So the given is not separate from the giver. That is our vision. That is the Shastra. Whatever is given, including this body, is not separate from the giver. Body is Bhagavan, mind is Bhagavan, senses are Bhagavan, Ragadveshas are also Bhagavan. But along with the Ragadveshas are given the brakes, the ability to manage them, Bhagavan. So you can't just say, I'm going to let the Ragadveshas fly around and target anybody else. Anger, Bhagavan. Om Namo Bhagavate Rudragya Namaste Rudramanyava Uto Taishave Namaha. Namaste to Lord in the form of anger. My anger is Bhagavan, your anger is Bhagavan. Anger is Bhagavan because there's something infallible about this anger. It's totally infallible because it's an order. Given this situation, it's as part of the psychological order of the scheme of things. Given this kind of a situation, whenever one's desires are thwarted, anger comes. This is a law. So anger is also can be Ishwarized. It is Bhagavan. Anger is Bhagavan. Jealousy is Bhagavan. It's not outside of Bhagavan, Everything can be Bhagavanized if you look at it from the standpoint of the infallible, law, the psychological order. And there are so many other orders, the dharmic order, the karmic order, the pranic order. Pranic has become a word now, thanks to pranic healing. And so this is what is all, the background knowledge for Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga is not just, going about your business and being a good person and then that's it. I'm a good person, I follow dharma, and then, I don't need to go to temple, I don't need Bhagavan. That is not Karma Yoga. Where Karma Yoga, where karma starts to become Karma Yoga is where you have dragged in Bhagavan fairly and squarely right in the center of everything. So this is what the whole thing is. Otherwise, there is no samatvam possible. How is it possible? So if anger is Bhagavan, that means I can be angry all the time, No, because the ability to manage the anger, the free will, and the ability to manage the anger, the wherewithal given, the cognitive ability to put a brake on certain hurtful actions that are hurtful to others is also Bhagavan. So you cannot just say, you can't just say anger is Bhagavan and so I'm going to get angry all the time. So samatvam here is called prasada buddhi because it's an acceptance of the fact that whatever comes in life, just like when I go to the temple, is prasada. That is what the whole thing is. And this is something which we grow up in the tradition. Somebody may be, extremely, diabetic. And then, you offer them a laddu. No, sorry, I can't eat it because I have diabetes. This is from Tirupati, Balaji laddu. Oh, okay, let me take a small piece and just, put it in the mouth. That's it. Because what happened? The laddus did not stop becoming sweet. The laddu did not stop being a ball of calories. The laddu has the same amount of cholesterol before and after, the same amount of sugar. In fact, the Tirupati laddus, Balaji laddus are just caloric balls. So what happened in this process? The laddu has not changed. Neither does the giver of the laddu changes. Or maybe the first person who gave me the laddu was inimical and now I'm getting something, better from somebody else. No. The laddu did not become any better or worse. The person who's giving the laddu did not become any better or worse. What changed? Your attitude towards the laddu changed. First it was, just plain laddu. And then, in your attitude, it got transformed into prasada. It has come from Bhagavan. And yes, I'm not able to have sugar and fatty things. But a small little, a molecule I can just break off and just put it on the tongue and, and just be with it. This is what is the attitude. The action is, is already done, cannot be transformed because it's already done. And then what? The result of action is not in my hands. Karmani eva adhikaraha me. For me, only with reference to karma, I have, the ability to, I have the right over action. I have the ability to change the action, but not the results. So there is something infallible about the results. And why this result came at this time, in this manner, for this purpose, for me, on this day, there is something infallible, even though I don't know. And so where is the change that occurs? The change is not in the action, but or in the results of action. Nothing has changed, but in the way I look at it. And this is there in other traditions also. I mean, taking this communion, in Christianity, they go to the church and then on, after the Mass, especially in Catholicism, and some other denominations also do this. After the Mass, what happens? They give this, wine and bread, but it's not wine and bread. They say this is Bhagavan, this is the body of Christ, this is the blood of Christ. And you just take a little piece and you drink a little sip. You don't say the other person got a bigger piece of bread. I have just such a small thing. Whatever comes to your lot, because there are some deacons and, choir children and, people, choir girls and boys distributing this. And so you don't argue with them. Whatever comes is my lot. I take it reverentially. This is what is called samatvam. Without prasada buddhi, there cannot be either samatvam or what we are yet to see, yoga karmasu kausalam. There cannot be either samatvam or kausalam. So this prasada buddhi is common to both. And this is something that is cultivated. It's an acquired, it's an acquired taste. Prasada buddhi is an acquired trait. It is not something that comes naturally. Why? Because what comes naturally is not prasada buddhi, but it is another prakrita buddhi. Prakrita buddhi means these bestial tendencies described in the 16th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita very well by Bhagavan. Bestial tendencies, as nature made, a small child, you see this child, it wants something now. It's going to go red in the face and cry its eyes out if it's not going to get it. It wants something right now, has to have it. There is no, there is no ability to regulate the emotions. There is no ability in the child to be able to be cognizant of other egos. It itself is an ego, but other egos it cannot be cognizant of because I'm the only one there. What do you mean you have things to do? I'm hungry, you have to feed me. What do you mean you're sick? Who asked you to be sick? That's not my problem. It is my feeding time. I need the food. So it's not cognizant of other egos. And if it's not going to get something, especially a toddler, when it cries, it's going to snatch, it's going to, do all kinds of things. And these are, these are what is called prakriti, prakritam, prakriter bhavam, prakritehe bhavam. In the sense born of prakriti, and, born of, some nature. An uncultivated nature is going to be like that. And you find this very much rife in the animal world. The lion is not going to be very polite. It's not going to go to the gazelle and say, may I? No, it's just going to eat, and if another lion comes, it's going to roar it, it out of the picture. And while it eats, even the family members of the lion cannot eat. Even the cubs have, and the mother have to watch at a respectful distance until it eats, and then goes away. And then the mother and the children come. I mean, what a law. Talk of patriarchy. That's why it's called the lion's share, because it's going to go first. It's not going to wait. And if the offspring or the lioness comes, it's going to injure them, because there is no break there, no possible ability to share, ability to regulate. It's not there. It's all instinctual behavior. So prakrita buddhi is instinctual behavior. Prasada buddhi is cultivated, civilized behavior. Is not just civilized behavior. It is samskrita buddhi is civilized behavior. Prakrita buddhi, uncultivated, instinctual behavior. Samskrita buddhi will bring this one also. Samskritam means very well done. Samskrita buddhi, civilized behavior, and in the light of all the social norms and whatever is, whatever things are there. And then prasada buddhi, spiritual behavior. This is what it is. Spiritually evolved behavior, prasada buddhi. Socially evolved, culturally evolved behavior, samskrita buddhi. Instinctual behavior where one reacts without responding is prakrita buddhi. So you see it in a child. And the mother and the father say, they nowadays the parenting tactics are all going back to back to the Vedas, really. Because I read somewhere that the parents are now counseled to delay gratification in children. What is happening is that the mother and the father both go out to work. I mean, there's no other choice. Everything is so expensive and they want the best for their children. And so the children go to daycare, nannies, whatever it is. And then they see their children, the parents see the children only for short periods of time during the day and in the weekends. And then so the parents carry a lot of guilt about not being there for the child. And that guilt often, unfortunately, resolves in trying to overcompensate in meeting the needs of the child. So the child asks for something, even before it asks, the parents already give this. And so, and the child therefore learns to not, to not adjust. That adjustability is not there. That flexibility is not there. And so the counselors are telling the parents the latest parenting skill is to delay gratification. Yeah. If the child asks for something, make it wait. Not because you're a sadist, you're not a sadist, but because you're helping the child to live with the fact that you may not always get what you want. This is like the, what is that? The Western version of karma yoga. You may not get always what you want, oh child. So learn to deal. Learn to deal with disappointment. Learn to deal with not having something immediately. Learn to deal with deprivation. Not because, one is trying to, what is that? One is trying to uh, be some kind of a, be hard on oneself. No, that's not the point. Because life is like that. Because what other choice do we have other than prasada buddhi? From prakrita buddhi to prasada buddhi, in between samskrita buddhi, buddhi means attitude. So first the child has to cultivate the social norms, samanya dharma. We'll talk about that more. But all the social norms that are there, sharing, caring, accommodation, adjustability, making sure that you're not sort of always wanting things which you wait for your turn. All these things, you stand in queue All these things make one from prakrita buddhi, bestial nature, give me this, give me that, instant gratification fellow, becomes more cultivated and civilized. And then one is ready to cultivate. Then if one is ready to come to the Veda and Vedanta, one is ready to cultivate what is called prasada buddhi, which is spiritually evolved behavior, advanced behavior. And what does this entail? It entails a certain relative shanti in the face of challenges and difficulties. Because it's not the first two outcomes that are the problem. If I'm waiting for the bus and scenario number one, I get a ride from a friend, I mean, there's nothing, nobody complains. Oh, I never get to take the bus. I'm always in the car. Nobody complains like that. So that's not an issue. And neither is the issue where the outcome is always in keeping with the expectations. I cross the road, I catch the bus, no problem. It's only the last two scenarios that throw a wrench into the works. What are the last two scenarios? Missing opportunities, missing the bus. And then what? And then having some kind of a, problem where the expectations are opposite, the outcomes are opposite and not at all in keeping with the expectations. These are the last two scenarios in the story we discussed yesterday, which create problems, which is why we can have, in the face of the last two scenarios, we can have three different kinds of responses. One would be the prakrita response. What would be the prakrita response? Throw a tantrum because you didn't get what you want. Grab, snatch, get what you want, try, and even if you can't get it, curse roundly, become a drama queen, a drama king, and then make everyone miserable along with yourself. Prakrita buddhi. And then you have samskrita buddhi. Samskrita buddhi is okay. You keep trying, keep trying. Look at all the doors that are open to you. Keep trying, keep trying. Have a stiff upper lip in the face of disappointment, because that's what is socially acceptable behavior. Stiff upper lip, but inside the person is miserable. But keep trying, keep striving, keep striving. And so the samskrita buddhi is a little better, but it still keeps you in the circuit of samsara, where you come back again and again like a bad coin, striving, striving, striving. And it's a wrong kind of striving, because you're striving to find the infinite among finite things. How is that possible? The infinite is not lost, and the infinite is not outside of you. In fact, it is you. But not knowing this, I have a problem with action and result of action, because the action is limited and finite, but I expect the result of action to be infinite. What do I mean by this? Like the person gets married and then says during the marriage vow, what? This is forever. And it's only the fourth marriage for this person. So that shows it is not forever. What happened to the other three? Well, that was a mistake. But this one is the real thing. Everybody wants to appropriate what the real thing is. And the real thing keeps shifting, 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 shifting. First the real thing is this, and then the real thing is that, and finally what is the real thing? Coca-Cola, because they have also appropriated this expression, the real thing, and the real thing now has a little circle with R, registered, trademarked. You can't use the word real thing at all, because that's appropriated by the Coca-Cola company. It's branded now. Each time you say real thing, you have to pay royalty. Yeah. So this is how it is. So the Samskrita buddhi helps a little bit, because you're more well adjusted. It's a veneer of social adjustment, adaptability, and you pretend everything is okay. That's what samsara is. Everybody pretends everything is okay. It's like two Britishers when they meet, in England. So at least let give me some room here. I'm going to go off a little bit. So at least in America, you ask a person, how are you? How do you do? And the person says, what is the stock answer? Fine. Fine means don't ask any further. This is it. Okay? And fine. That's what it is. And then, but at least they say fine. But in England, they just ask another question, the same question you ask the other person, and you don't even have to say fine. In fact, you know very little, you know nothing about how the person is doing. So two Britishers, they meet. How do you do? The person number one, person number two, oh, how do you do? That's how it is. And then they'll say, nice day, isn't it? Because the weather is something which is a favorite topic, because as long as you're talking about the stormy weather, the foggy weather, the rainy weather, the dry weather, the sunny weather, you don't have to discuss the foggy, rainy, dry emotions at all. You don't have to do that. Nice day, isn't it? And the other person also says the same thing. Nice day, isn't it? Oh, it's just delightful, is it not? Yes, it's very wonderful, is it not? So everything, every conversation between strangers, is in the form of a question. Strangers and acquaintances. You just put a question mark at the end. you know this is what the whole thing is. So this is how far the Samskrita Buddhi will get you. So from Prakrita Buddhi to Samskrita Buddhi, the Samskrita Buddhi, helps prepare for Prasada Buddhi, which is a spiritually evolved, spiritually advanced way of life. And this is what is Samatvam Yoga Uchyate. This is what is called yoga. This is what is called karma yoga. This is what is called samatvam. Samatvam cannot happen, otherwise it's some kind of an artificial equanimity where I just pretend I don't care. Like the fox and the grapes. The little fox jumped to get the grapes, jumped. And then what does it do? I didn't want them anyway, they are sour. It's like a cat. Sometimes, the cats are generally very graceful and very lithe, and they land on their feet. Except sometimes the curiosity gets better of them. And if you watch them in action, sometimes they jump too high. They didn't make it across the whatever surface they wanted to do. And then they plunge down and then land not very gracefully. And then you happen to be looking, and the cat makes eye contact with you and immediately pretends to groom itself. It starts to lick and it starts to do other things, meaning I was really not. I was not trying to do anything. I don't care, that kind of an attitude. So the Samskrita Buddhi is good because you learn delayed gratification, you learn how to adjust, adapt everything, but it's still a veneer. You just scratch the surface, and the prakrita is waiting to bite, is waiting to roar and come out. But then, prasada buddhi takes care of this. How? Because you bring in Bhagavan. You bring in the giver of the karma phala, because you are not in charge of karma phala. Karma phala means what? The result of action. You are not in charge. But whoever is in charge, you see that as a sacred, as a sacrament. You receive whatever comes as a sacrament. For us, it is Bhagavan. So the karma phala is not a mandate of Bhagavan, it's a manifestation of Bhagavan. So who knows what I did? And in India it's very common. So a person loses money, and then they say, in the beginning they may be upset, but they say, who knows who I might have cheated in the last life. That is why this money got lost. Whether that's true or not doesn't matter. And it is not some kind of a fatalistic attitude. This is not fatalism. This is in fact a question. Yeah. I told the other day, from saying ouch each time the karma bites, karma phala bites, you have a nice couch to sit on, a shock absorber. That's what it is. We are talking of the infallible and that which cannot be changed, the invariable. What other choice do I have other than to accept it? Even if I say I don't accept it, it's not going to change. At least for the time being, I'm stuck with this result. And Samskrita Buddhi will allow me to kind of deal and go about my life as though it doesn't matter. But Prasada Buddhi is what is going to change my attitude. Prasade sarva dukkhanam hanihi asya upajayate. Prasanna chetaso hyashu buddhif paryavatisthate. Nasti buddhirayuktasya nachayuktasya bhavana nachabhavayatah shantihi ashantasya kutas sukham. Very beautiful. Discussing Prasada Buddhi, Bhagavan Krishna says, that Prasade, when the Prasada Buddhi abides the human mind, then what happens? There is a lot of room. Sarva dukkhanam hanihi upajayate. What is born is destruction. Oh, Prasada causes destruction? Yes. Destruction of what? Sarva dukkhanam. All the sorrows and pains are destroyed when the mind is insulated by prasada buddhi. When the heart and the mind are insulated by prasada, all the difficulties, dukkhas, are destroyed. And the buddhi starts abiding in happiness. Prasanna chetas, the person become. When? Ashu, quickly you become more cheerful as a result of this prasada. And the prasada buddhi. And then what? Then further, saying this, that that this prasada leads to shanti. Na asti buddhihi ayuktasya. So this prasada buddhi is not there for the person who is not put together properly, who has not taken the time to cultivate this, who has not, understood the purport of why I need to cultivate this prasada buddhi. And then, Nachayukta. So this buddhi is not there for the one who is ayukta, ayogya, the one who is not deserving of this buddhi, the one who has not made any attempt to look at Bhagavan and to relate to Bhagavan in the form of prasada. And then what? Then for such a person, ayuktasya, nacha ayuktasya bhavana. So such a person is not contemplative. When difficulties come, you can either be completely an extrovert and put the blame on the whole Jagat, on everybody in the Jagat, and on Bhagavan also. You can point the finger to Bhagavan and say, it's because of you that I have such a rotten life. This is what the Ayukta does. Ayukta means the one who is not even a Samskrita Buddhi here. The Prakrita Buddhi will do this, and then what? Nacha Ayuktasya Bhavana. So there is no self-reflexivity, there is no looking at oneself, there is not even a little pondering. Well, this year has been difficult. I wonder why. There are so many things that are happening. I think it's time to just sit with myself and just allow this to pass. Just allow this to be, allow myself to be. No, that contemplativeness, that ability for self-reflection is not there. And then Bhagavan concludes, na abhavayataha abhavayatasya shantihi. So such a person has no peace of mind. No peace of mind. No ability to put the cudgels down. One is always exhausted because one is fighting Bhagavan in the form of karma phala. Bhagavan becomes your sparring partner in the form of karma phala. And I was talking to a rabbi who joked that this fighting attitude, that's why the children are born like this with the fists tight, because they are just ready to go. This is what it is. all just tied up, completely. So the rabbi was joking. This is what it is. You come with a pair of boxing gloves, in the womb itself, in the form of your closed, tight fists, which symbolize, the readiness to take on the universe and to shake everything up and to get what one wants. And that never happens. That rarely ever happens. And even if it happens, even if you get what you want in the moment, you know, you have left a trail of broken hearts, broken promises in the process of trying to get what you want. And though that karma phala will also come and bite later on. Yeah, you can't get away with it. And so, abhavayatah, for the person who is not a contemplative, you know, who lacks this ability to reflect upon oneself, na shantihi. So there is no peace of mind. One is constantly at war with oneself. Really, war at Bhagavan. War with Bhagavan means war with oneself because one is Bhagavan. And then what? Ashantasya kutas sukham. Where is the sukha for the one who has no shanti? Shanti and sukha are related. They are, each one is incumbent upon the other. So if you have shanti, you have sukha. If you have sukha, you definitely have shanti. This is what it is. So shanti means freedom. This is what it is, a relative freedom from constantly having to be at loggerheads with people, situation, circumstances, events and things. This is the battle that Arjuna is told to fight before even he addresses, the people standing in front of him. Jahi Shatrum Mahabaho Kamarupam Durasadam. So, what is coming in the way of cultivating Prasada Buddhi are our friends Raga and Dvesha. That is what it is. Because I didn't get what I want, so like a child, I'm going to, scream, rant, yell, and then snatch it by force. This is what the whole thing is. So, this is the sophisticated way of Raga Dvesha management. And Arjuna is told, Arjuna asks, how come? I mean, I know all this. I know all this. But still, I end up not doing this. One ends up not doing this. How come? अथ केन प्रयुक्तेन पापं चरति पुरुषः अनिच्छन्नपि वार्ष्णेय बलादिव नियोजितः. So how come? Impelled by what? Does the person go into this kind of prakrita buddhi which results in further wrongdoings? Further papas are accrued. Papa means the results of actions that are not in keeping with what is correct, with dharma. And so the uncomfortable situations generated by things that are not in place, by actions that are askance in connection to dharma. And so why does the person end up doing this? As though this arrangement niyojitaha, this is an arrangement that is made by force. And Bhagavan says, Kama esha krodha esha rajo guna samudbhava mahashanaha mahapapma vidyenam vairinam. Enam, enam means kama. Kama and krodha, both of them. Kama is, ragadvesha. Here, krodha is when the ragadveshas are thwarted, what comes is anger. The cause of all anger is not having ragadveshas met. That's all it is. Unmet ragadveshas give rise to anger. I didn't get my way. I didn't get what I wanted, so the anger comes. So kama esha krodha esha, he says they are from the rajas aspect of oneself. Rajas means restlessness, anger, ragadvesha, rising ragadveshas, all that is called, rajas, unbalanced rajas. And then what? Mahashanaha. Mahashanaha means their of great appetite. The appetite of ragadveshas and the resultant anger is infinite. They keep eating, keep eating, keep eating. You fulfill one raga, you fulfill one dvesha, 10 more come in its place. We have a mythical, demon, a pair of demons, Raktasura and Bijasura. Rakta Bijasura, Rakta Bijasura. And in the Devi Mahatmya, it comes, and in the glories of the goddess. And then, they had a very strange power, is that when the drop of blood Okay, we are back. Yes, Yukiko is right. The Asura made the sound go away. Perhaps we should not talk about him too much. So, um, where are we? What did you hear? Drops of blood. Yeah, thank you, Ramagiri. So, the Asura had a gift that, if anybody tried to kill that fellow, sometimes he's called Raktasura and sometimes it is Bijasura and sometimes it's both of them together like twins. So the point is, when you try to shed even a drop of blood, thousands of them would get instantly cloned. And don't think that they were small little baby asuras, in nappies with little horns saying goo goo gaga. No, they were full grown, ready to fight. This is exactly how desires are. In fact, Raktasura is a metaphor for desires. You try to fulfill one desire and thousands come to the fore. Thousands of them are there. And so Bhagavan says at the end of the third chapter, you know, that kama esha krodha esha rajoguna samudbhavah mahashanaha. That's what we were discussing. They have a great appetite. You keep feeding like fire. Desires, raga dveshas here, not just desires, unmanaged desires, binding desires which create pressure. Kama krodhodbhavam vegam, that vega, that pressure to be fulfilled, those kinds of desires that, take the baton from you and run your life and make you into a slave. They enslave you, and instead of sitting in the driver's seat, they put you on the side, they handcuff you and put a gag on your mouth and throw you in the trunk, and they make off with the car and they drive it wherever they want. This is what happens. Either you manage the desires or they end up managing you. This is what the whole thing is. And therefore what? Therefore Bhagavan says that, you know, Vidhi enam vairinam mahashanaha mahapapma. Papma means they lead you to wrongdoings. Mahashano mahapapma vidhi enam. Know this to be an enigma. It's something that you have to deal with. It's inimical to your growth. It's inimical to gaining prasada buddhi. And then he gives 3 examples. धूमेनाव्रियते वह्निः यथादर्शो मलेन च यथोल्बेनावृतो गर्भः तेनेदम् आवृतम् idam. So it's not like you don't know the best way to go about. That prasada buddhi, the raw materials for the prasada buddhi are already with you. But it is that this knowledge of prasada buddhi, this knowledge of raga dvesha management is covered over. Like even the the smoke covers the fire. And like a mirror, the fog on the mirror covers your reflection. You cannot see yourself because you are not, the fog has to be cleaned off. And you cannot see the baby inside the womb. This was before all this ultrasound and everything. You know, you can't see the baby inside the womb because it has got the ulba. Ulba means the placenta. It's covered. So like this, this your jnanam here, not jnanam as in Atma jnanam, but your ability, your jnanam of prasada buddhi, your desire to have this prasada buddhi is overpowered by raga dveshas. Like even the sun is overpowered by the fog. And so he says, Jahishatrum Mahabaho Kamarupam Durasadam. So forget the enemy standing in front of you. These inimical tendencies have to be overcome, and the best method is prasada buddhi. So to learn to accept the consequences of my action with a certain gladness. And of course there is no gladness when there is a loss, of a loved one, loss of money, loss of so many things. It's very difficult to be glad, but nonetheless it's still prasada. Prasada, you can cry, but it's still prasada. And something wonderful happens, prasada. Something indifferent happens, prasada. Something difficult happens, prasada. And then only, and with this prasada cannot be acknowledged. Prasada brings in Bhagavan. For us, everything is prasada. The whole culture is prasada. That's why even children are called prasada. Rama Prasad, Krishna Prasad, Durga Prasad. And then I always say, Lalu's mother was very clever. Lalu's mother was a jnani, must have been, Lalu is a kind of a notorious politician in India, has spent equal time outside and inside the jails in his career. Lot of scams and whatnot. And his real name is Lalu Prasad. Lalu means baby Krishna. So I always say the mother must have been a very wise lady, because this is prasada. And when you say prasada, it stops becoming your problem. You depersonalize and Ishwarize by the word prasada. Both happen simultaneously. Otherwise it becomes your problem. I didn't work hard enough. What's wrong with me? Why am I doing this? Why am I not better? Why am I worse? Why this is not happening? Why that is not happening? All this. I become, the author of action. I become the author of the results of action, and both of those give rise to sorrow. Prasada means I can just put that to Bhagavan. Here, you take care of it. This is yours. Why should I take on, something which is not mine? Pujya Swamiji would always give his examples were always just so fitting. And this one was, particularly wonderful. He used to take the train in Chennai, the local train, the commuter train, suburban train. and he saw one lady with a big basket, much bigger than her, wider than her head, huge basket of vegetables. And somehow, with great difficulty, she got into the train and was standing as the train is moving with a big basket of vegetables. And then some people tried to help, Swamiji included. Let's help you to get this and put it. Why don't you put it down? No, 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 I can't be bothered. Why? Why don't you put it down? No, I don't want to burden the train. you know. And whether she said that or whether Pujya Swamiji just extrapolated that doesn't matter, but it's still a very fitting example, a beautiful example. This is what we may laugh at the lady, the vegetable lady, but we are all like that vegetable lady, carrying something which does not belong, excess baggage, really. So first there is excess baggage because I have appropriated for myself something which I don't need, which does not belong to me, which is not my portfolio. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? That's what causes the stress. And so prasada here means relinquishing the hold of control. In which area? First in the area of the results of action, and then, surprise, in the area of action also. Hey, wait a minute. You said karmani eva adhikarah te, ma phaleshu kadachana. So the action comes from me, right? The action doesn't come from Bhagavan. I am the author of action. No. You think you are. But if you look closely and deeply at the action itself, you will find very quickly that the authorship disintegrates. Authorship disintegrates completely. How? Because you try. You try doing this. Like, okay, what did you do? Well, I made this wonderful dish. Where did you get or I completed this wonderful project. Where did you get the wherewithal? Where did you get the raw materials? Oh, I purchased them. How did you purchase them? With money. Where did you get the money? Well, I worked very hard. How did you work very hard? Because I go to I have a job. How did you get the job? Well, there were so many contestants and I was very well qualified. I had all these degrees and so I was offered the job. How come you were so well qualified? I told you I have all these degrees. How did you get the degrees? I went to the best colleges. How did you go to the best universities? Well, my father was very affluent. My parents were very affluent. How come you were born into an affluent family? Somewhere at some point in this series of questions, you have to say, I don't know, it just happened. Really speaking, it just happened is all the way. It is given. The ability, the brain to solve the problem is given. The brain to complete the project is given. Good food at home is given. Lots of ghee in childhood to stimulate the brain given. The good parentage to that encourage the child to bring out the best in it given. And the job given, university education given. And so where is your authorship? Other than in creating a confusion, there is no authorship even of any action, really speaking. No, but what if I go and fulfill a desire, like, I go to the market and buy myself some ice cream and then I fulfill the desire. That's also given, really. And yes, that doesn't mean that this is some kind of a static, thing where you don't have choices. You have choices. You exercise the choices and then you have to, you have to bear the consequence of those choices. Even if it is somebody's fault, it is still your lot. That's what happens. And some people are created in this world only to exhaust the karma of others, like all these ISIS and all. I mean, what other purpose they have other than destruction, really? They live only so that they can exhaust the karma of others. It's a very sad thing. That's what it is. So that goes for the people who are called thieves, pickpockets, habitual offenders, all these people. Their primary, all these naktancharahas, nightly people, nocturnal people who have no business, being in certain places and certain times, and they are active at night because they don't want to be seen during the day. And so they exist, squarely for fulfilling your prarabdha. That's why in the Rudram, we pay homage to all these manifestations of Bhagavan that creep and crawl through the night. Namaha Naktancharebhyaha, Naktancharebhyo Namaha, meaning to all the nocturnal beings, scorpions, crabs, owls, creepy crawlies, everything. They exist only to scare you, they exist only to exhaust your karma. And then by, implication, even the things, people, not just animals, but people who move around in the night. Yes, Nicheru, that's called. Nicherave Namaha. Nicheru means people who move about in the night and then take hold of your pocketbook. Deceive. Thieves that deceive. Nicheru, one person who deceives all the time. No. Nicheru means the person who deceives once, one time, occasional deceiver. And Parichara means the one who, deceives all the time and moves away to the next town before the person is caught. All these are manifestations of Bhagavan that we don't want to see, and they are there sometimes to exhaust one's karma. This is what it is. And so prasada buddhi includes understanding of all this, because without bringing Bhagavan into the center, one cannot give up this fight. Otherwise one is constantly fighting, railing and ranting at the universe, railing and ranting at one's fellow beings, at the circumstances of one's life, at one's lot, at everything, or blaming oneself, blaming others. This is what is samsara. You don't need the jagat to make you a samsari. You yourself are there. That's enough. That's why from the prakrita buddhi, you have to go to prasada buddhi. This is what the whole thing is. And so Bhagavan says that in the wake of the discovery of prasada, then what happens is all the dukkhas go away. How? The dukkhas go away because I'm not appropriating for myself what is not mine. I'm no longer burdened by a big burden that I was carrying, because like the vegetable seller, I was taking something on which was not needed. There is already a momentum. There is a karmic momentum. And the most graceful way to deal with this karmic momentum that has been initiated in my life since birth, the most efficacious way is to go with the flow, to be in tandem with the momentum rather than to go away from the momentum. It's very easy to go away from the momentum, because that's where the alienation is. That's where the alienation comes. No, I want to do something different than what it is. And what's wrong with this? Why can't I get this? The other person has got this. All these things, they just make you a tired person. A tired person when you're young, and then what? Later on you are a retired person. That's why it's called retired. You're tired again and again and again. A lifetime of tiredness is called retired. Yes. And therefore bring Bhagavan into the center of the situation by recognizing the intimate connection between karma and karma phala. Karma phala is a manifestation of Bhagavan. If karma phala is Bhagavan, karma, action, and the ability to act is also Bhagavan. Both. So I am in a position to act, Bhagavan. Doesn't mean I don't act. I do the best I can. I do whatever I can. I just let go. I bring Bhagavan in as a proxy actor. This is a very important thing in the Hindu tradition. Nowhere else it is there. Bhagavan, you are the ones. You are the agent of action. You are doing everything. I am not the agent of action. And this is something which is very prevalent in the culture. You give somebody a compliment. Oh, you did this so well. They will say it is because of Bhagavan. I didn't do it. It is just happening. I'm just in the right place at the right time. That is the attitude, that one has to cultivate. In the beginning, it's a deliberate cultivation, but then it becomes automatic with practice and with a certain, with a certain time. It becomes, after a certain time, it becomes natural. So I have to see that whatever comes is Bhagavan. And then I just like the prasada in the temple, I learn to take it gracefully. Maybe with gritted teeth, like that, but still gracefully. I grow. I grow into being a person having prasada buddhi, and I grow into being a person who is more compassionate, more accommodative, more responsive, less reactive, and someone who is able to just be insulated from the difficult, from the difficulties around one. Bhagavan Krishna is going to says later that, Guruna api dukkhena na vichalyate. Such a person, who is established in prasada buddhi. Guruna dukkhena means, not dukkha from the guru. No, here Guruna neuter, meaning it is from difficulties, big difficulties. Guru means big. From big difficulties, one is not afflicted. One is not shaken up even by the big difficulties, what to talk of the small ones. So prasada buddhi is an insulation against the what? Against the karmic overload, karma phala overload. It's an insulation where I stay safe, where I stay peaceful, where I abide happily. This is what one has to really internalize and understand. And whenever I give this talk, I get an objection or a question. What is the question? The question is, this is, that means we can't strive for what we want. We always have to say, oh, jo aata hai, karm ka phal hai, and yeah, I have to just take it, and I just have to become a doormat. And whereas everybody else is getting away with, their ambitions and whatever they want, everybody is getting what they want except me. Who is saying this? All 7 billion people on the earth are saying this. Yeah, that's the problem. So it's not karma yoga and samatvam and prasada buddhi are not for cultivating some kind of fatalism. This is not about, fatally, accepting. Fatal means, yeah, it's as good as death. Apathy. It's not about cultivating apathy. Somebody said karma yoga just cultivates apathy. It does not. That means you haven't understood what it is. If after all this discussion, that is what the person is thinking, then mimamsya evate, you have to analyze this again. You have to go back and listen again, because that's not what we are talking about. Apathy and fatalism are emotional, responses to disappointment. Repeated disappointments lead to why should I care attitude. That is apathy. That is not acceptance. There is, even though both of them begin with A, there is a big difference, oceanic distance between apathy and acceptance. Acceptance is dynamic. It's not passive aggressive. It is not something that, that, oh, nothing else happened, okay, I'm going to make do. It is not making do. It is accepting and relaxing in the order that is Bhagavan, and and looking at difficulties as opportunities for self-growth. Making peace with difficulties and prayerizing the difficulties, weatherizing, Ishwarizing one's life. This is what it is. And that is where in prasada the prayer becomes very important, because if I don't like this particular prasada that has come, I pray, and that prayer is an action which again has a result of action. And in prayer alone the will is free. Otherwise the will is bogged down by all kinds of ragadveshas, wants and pressures. In prayer, the will is free. Even the desperate devotee, the 911 devotee who only thinks of Bhagavan in an emergency. That's why I call that person a 911 devotee. Even the 911 devotee is exalted in Bhagavan's eyes. discussing the 4 kinds of devotees, starting with the 911 devotee, Bhagavan says, Udara Sarva Evate, they are all exalted, Arjuna. Because you don't have to pray. You can go rob a bank if you are feeling the pinch for cash. You can go, indulge in gossip if you feel jealous of somebody. You can go, spread some wrong rumors because you want to look like you want to come out on the top. That's what they are doing, spreading fake news. You can do that. But you sit and pray instead. This is a very big, this is a very big leap, because you can do just about anything, and whatever you do, the raga dveshas are entangled there because there is some agenda, some explanation, some expectation is there. But in prayer, even the desperate devotee is the free will is untethered, because going to the very source that is giving the karma phala and saying, please help me, I don't like this prasada is too much, I'm not able to bear with, please change, alter this prasada. That's why it's called an altar of surrender, where anything that cannot be altered is put at the altar of surrender. And then you find that something is altered after all. What is altered? The karma phala is altered? No. That you are altered is the biggest magic. Your way of dealing with life is altered. That altar of surrender has the power to alter you. That is the beauty of this prasada buddhi. That is why to cultivate this. It has the power to alter you. That's why it's called altar of surrender. It alters who you are, who you thought you were. It alters how you manage your emotions. It alters how graciously or otherwise you take in the karma phala. It alters you. And it's not some kind of an apathetic situation that, oh, I have to deal with this. This is how it is and I can't strive. No, strive. Along with that, pray. And in that praying, is you're creating good karma phala, you're creating punya, because the will is free. And any kind of reaching out action you do towards Bhagavan, any kind of prayer you do, then gives the karma phala that might inoculate you against the obstacles that are coming in the way. That's why every prayer in India starts like this. Mamopata durita kshayadvara Shri Parameshwara Prityartham Ahamidam Karishye. Mama upatta durita. Durita means all the bad karmas, the papas that are standing in my account, which deny me success in life, which deny me anything that I want, which deny all the ragadveshas, which have made me into some kind of a jaded, faded jiva. So all those duritas, let them have kshaya, meaning let them start to rot. Mamopata, they are earned by me alone. I recognize that this is the sankalpa, the statement of intentionality that one does before the puja or the any kind of homa karma is begun. And then what? Shri Parameshwara Prityartham, in order to be in Priti means love, not for the love of God or anything. Parameshwara Prityartham means for being in harmony with that which is the cause of the karma phala, for being in harmony with those forces, with that source which is the cause of the karma phala. Ahamidam karishye, I am doing this prayer. It is perfect, and whatever comes helps one to overcome the difficulties. So it's not some kind of an apathetic thing that you stop working, you stop doing things, and you just have to, this is so bad. Hindu tradition, I read somewhere. This is what happens with academia. Hindu tradition is apathetic. It keeps the status quo going by making people just accept everything. Don't accept. I'm not telling you to accept everything. Don't accept. No, but what choice do I have? Okay, accept then. No, but I can't accept. Well, don't accept. Run up and down, jump up and down. That's all it is. We are talking of a fact that right now I'm looking at a loss. Right now it is unalterable. Right now the stock market went, and along with it went all my savings, let us say. Right now I'm looking at a loss. No, maybe tomorrow it'll be a different thing. Maybe tomorrow somebody will win the lottery and give me a bunch of money. Maybe tomorrow somebody will come and, I'll become rich. Maybe after a few years I'll, build up my portfolio. All that is different. That doesn't deny that. But right now there is a loss. I have to deal with that. And I need Bhagavan as a friend, as a helper to help me deal with that emotionally. And that's what the prayer is all about. Prayer is helping one to gain the courage to be able to deal with this, to be able to deal with disappointment, defeat, fear, depression, sorrow, anger, all these emotions that I don't want to have. I give it back to Bhagavan. Here you gave me this, you take it back. This is what is prasada buddhi. And that's why as one grows in prasada buddhi, you become non-reactive, more responsible, more compassionate, and less in a hurry for so many things. Otherwise, one is constantly rush, 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 hurry, 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 hurry. So this is what is the key. This is what is samatvam yoga uchyate. That one is able to just, take everything as prasada. Now we have an interesting scenario. Supposing somebody comes and says, you know, I was very impressed by your talk on prasada buddhi. Oh, that's great. Well, I want to discuss something with you. Okay, go ahead. You know, your talk on prasada buddhi was great. I am going to follow that from now on. In fact, in my profession, I'm going to take everything that comes as prasada. Then I'm curious. Then I ask the person, what is your profession? I am a, bank robber. That's my profession. That's my occupation. It also happens to be my preoccupation. I have raga for money. I have dvesha for other robbers and the bank tellers, etc. And what am I going to do? I'm going to rob the bank. And let's say that morning itself, they have had a big cash influx, and then, I get more than expected. I will take it as prasada. If I get exactly as what I expect, I'll take it as prasada. And if after I hold up the tellers, everything, and then they go to the safe and find out that the armored truck has come and taken away all the money, all the deposits for the day, and just a few notes are left, I'll take it as prasada. And what's the last scenario? Tring, 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 tring. Call the cops, or the getaway car doesn't come. The gun that I hold up with is not found, and so I am in jail. I'll take that also as a prasada. So the bank robber asks me, does that make me a karma yogi? So am I a karma yogi? Because I have prasada buddhi. And I'll pray also Bhagavan, Every pickpocket has a prayer. Har pocket mein hariyali rahe. Oh Lord, please bless every pocket with greenery. This is the pickpocket's prayer. So, so I will take it as prasada. Is such a person a karma yogi? Yes? No? Huh? What's wrong here? What is the problem here? What is the problem? Yeah, no dharma. Yeah, correct. Yeah, no dharma. And that's why the second definition of karma yoga, which is yoga karmasu kausalam, which finally we'll start discussing tomorrow, is needed, is along with this. In fact, there's also a third definition of yoga. Yeah, I think we'll have time for that, so I will discuss that as well. So, we'll stop here with these words. We'll pick it up, later for the Kena Upanishad, and tomorrow same time here for the continuation. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadagya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Yeah. So who else? Who is with you, Kavita? Ah, Chandan is there. Chandan and Kavita are there. Namaste. How nice to. Ah, Surekha and Praveen. Very nice. Yeah. Akanksha, my favorite. Wonderful. Very nice. All of you are here. Wonderful. Very nice to know that you are here. Excellent. Any questions today? Okay. All the best. Om.